Morning. It's a continuation of pituitary gland and its disorder. Today I'm going to take a class on hypopituitarism, otherwise called pituitary insufficiency. Hypopituitarism will be taught under these headings: definition of hypopituitarism, etiology, clinical feature, investigation, and treatment of hypopituitarism. First is, what is the definition of hypopituitarism? Is a clinical condition characterized by deficiency or selective deficiency of one or more pituitary hormone. Here is there is a decreased secretion or deficiency of either single hormone or multiple hormone from the pituitary gland, either from the anterior pituitary or it may be from the posterior pituitary. What is the etiology or causes for hypopituitarism? Pituitary and parapituitary tumor, radiotherapy, and surgery are the most common cause of hypopituitarism. In pituitary or parapituitary tumor, that is craniopharyngioma and pituitary chromophoboadenoma, especially macroadenoma, is the cause for hypopituitarism. So, in macroadenoma, when the size of adenoma goes on increases, will lead to compression of pituitary gland, that leads to the decrease in the blood supply to the pituitary gland. Once there is a decrease in the blood supply, there is a infarction and necrosis of the gland occur. Following radiotherapy for the pituitary adenomas, the dose of radiation more, so more chances of shrinkage of the gland, that result in hypopituitarism. Following surgery, especially in pituitary adenoma, if a patient underwent surgery for partial or complete removal of this adenoma, again also result in hypopituitarism. Following trauma, so RTA result in the fracture of the base of the skull, especially sella turcica, which causes a damage to the pituitary gland and death of the pituitary cells and leads to the hypopituitarism. During perinatal period, that is birth trauma, that also result in fracture of the base of the skull, that leads to the hypopituitarism. Some of the vascular cause also causes a hypopituitarism, that is pituitary apoplexy. It is a life-threatening condition where there is a acute infarction of pituitary gland occurs. Another one is Sheehan syndrome. This is a condition where there is a hemorrhage into the pituitary gland during the postpartum period, that result in the uh, necrosis of the pituitary gland and hypopituitarism. Following snake bite, especially hemotoxic bite, leads to the coagulopathy and bleeding into the pituitary gland leads to the hypopituitarism. Sickle cell disease, that is blockage of the arteries supplied to the pituitary gland, will lead to the necrosis and hypopituitarism. Certain condition like sarcoidosis, histiocytosis, hemochromatosis, lymphocytic hypophysitis. These condition there is a infiltration of lymphocytes to the into the pituitary cells, that leads to the hypopituitarism. So infections like basal meningitis or encephalitis, especially tuberculosis or even bacterial and fungal meningitis also causes a hypopituitarism. Some of the developmental or structural disease like Kallmann syndrome, that is congenital deficiency of growth hormone releasing hormone that leads to hypopituitarism. Primary empty cell bladder Willis syndrome, where there is a hypogonadism, diabetes mellitus, obesity is seen. Then is Lawrence Moon Badel syndrome, where in this condition hypogonadism, diabetes insipidus, and obesity you can see. Some of the congenital and genetic disorder also causes a hypopituitarism, that is mutation in the various genes like PT, PIT1, PROP1, HEX1, LHX3 mutation leads to the hypopituitarism. Last is idiopathic. So etiology is not known. So coming to the clinical features of hypopituitarism, this clinical feature mainly depending upon the type of hormone, whether it's single hormone involved or multiple hormone is involved. If it is single hormone, there is a less manifestation, whereas multiple hormone more manifestations. Means more hormones, so symptoms also more. Second one is extent of hormone deficiency. If a mild deficiency, less manifestations, whereas in case of more deficiency of hormone, will have a more manifestation. Third one is speed of onset and local pressure effect of the pituitary lesion. If the local pressure effect is more, so onset of hypopituitarism also more, means early onset and more speed onset of hypopituitarism. So in a pituitary mass lesion, patient usually present as a bitemporal headache, visual field defects, that is bitemporal hemianopia, feature of raised ICT intracranial pressure, that is headache, vomiting, nausea, rarely cranial nerve palsy, and CSF rhinuria is seen. So CSF rhinuria usually occurs when the mass erodes the cellular flora. Temporal lobe epilepsy and hypothalamic features also very rarely seen. In a slow growing pituitary lesion like following radiation or vascular injury, example Sheehan syndrome or following snake bite hypopituitarism, there is a characteristic pattern of hormones you can see in hormone secretion you can see in. That is first is growth hormone secretion falls, followed by gonadotropin hormones, then THS, last is ACTH. So prolactin deficiency is very rare except in Sheehan syndrome where prolactin deficiency is not seen. Generally hyperprolactinemia is a rule. This may be due to release of lactotrope from the tonic inhibition of dopamine or due to secretion from the prolactinoma. So depending upon the hormones, so deficiency, the manifestations also you can see. If a growth hormone deficiency in children, you see short stature, that is dwarfism. In adults, there is abnormal body composition, reduced sense of well-being and performance, low bone mass. If a deficiency of gonadotropin in case of male, there is a impotency, reduced facial hair, atrophic testes, and infertility. In case of female, there is a poor libido, amenorrhea, infertility, breast atrophy. If a deficiency of THS in case of children, so they present as a cretinism, that is growth retardation, dry skin, constipation. In adult, there is a myxedema feature like increased weight gain, constipation, cold intolerance, and worseness of voice, along with slow relaxation of deep tendon reflexes. If a deficiency of ACTH, patient will have present a additional disease as adrenal insufficiency, that is weakness, tiredness, postural hypotension, giddiness, pallor and hypoglycemia. If a prolactin deficiency, patient will present a lactation failure. Coming to the investigation of hypopituitarism, history collection is very important, and following physical examination, especially in children, you have to measure the height and weight, along with you have to assess the pubertal status, that is secondary sexual character was well developed or not, you have to assess. If a involution of breast, sparse pubic hair and axillary hairs indicate there is a secondary sexual characters are not developed, that indicates there is a hypogonadism. So you have to measure the blood pressure to check whether patient has got postural drop is or there or not. Especially in case of adrenal insufficiency, this blood pressure postural drop is very useful. With help of perimetry, we have to check the visual field defect. Common visual field is defect is bitemporal hemianopia. Then you have to measure the all the hormone level. So growth hormone level, THS level, LH level, FSH level, ACTH and prolactin levels. So you have to do the stimulatory test to assess the individual hormone. So mainly this stimulatory test to know whether hormone properly secreting or not from the pituitary gland. To assess the pituitary growth hormone and ACTH reserve, so you have to do insulin tolerance test. Is a gold standard test. GnRH and TRH test mainly to assess the reserve of gonadotropin and THS. So how will you do this insulin tolerance test? So give the regular insulin 3 to 9 units. Measure the glucose and growth hormone level at 0 minute, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 120 minutes. So normal response will be glucose less than 40 milligram per deciliter. Growth hormone will be more than 3 microgram per liter. If the growth hormone is not increasing, the you should think of there is a hypopituitarism. GnRH and TRH test. So injection GnRH and injection TRH is given IV. Measure the gonadotropin, that is LH and FHS and THS at 0 minute, 30 minutes and 60 minutes. So normal response will be there is an increase in LH by 10 international unit per liter, FHS 2 international unit per liter and THS more than 5 mU per liter. If it is not increase these hormones, we think of there is a hypopituitarism. So imaging studies very useful in case of pituitary adenomas or any other structural lesions. Congenital mutation in pituitary transcription factor usually associated with small anterior pituitary, absent stalk and ectopic posterior pituitary in bright spot. So coming to the treatment of hypopituitarism, so mainly replacement the hormone, whatever the deficiency hormone, you have to replace that one. If a growth hormone deficiency, give synthetic growth hormone at a dose of 0.25 to 0.7 milligram per day subcutaneously. If the THS deficiency, replace with L-thyroxine 50 to 200 microgram per day orally. If a deficiency of ACTH, give hydrocortisone 50 to 20 milligram per day orally. If a deficiency of gonadotropin in women, Give estradiol valrate 1 to 2 milligram per day, conjugated estrogen 0.625 to 1.2 milligram per day, ethyl, ethinyl estradiol 20 to 30 microgram per day, progesterone cyclical therapy. In case of men, give testosterone at a dose of 250 milligram every 3 weeks IM. So prolactin has no role because prolactin level is more, that is hyperprolactinemia is covered, so no need of giving prolactin therapy. Sometimes we'll give a combined deficiency of hormones, that is PHS and ACTH deficiency. Both will get. In that situation, you have to replace the steroid first, followed by thyroid hormone replacement should be done. So steroid replacement should always precede thyroid replacement. So those who are already taking a steroid replacement therapy, you have to increase the dose of steroid, especially during the stress. So if it is acute adrenal crisis, you have to start IV steroid, that is parenteral steroids. Those who have adult growth hormone deficiency, replace the growth hormone so that improve the lean body mass and bone mass and also improve the cardiovascular risk. In hypogonadal patients, especially infertility is common. Those who want to fertility or desire to fertility, treat with gonadotropin, recombinant HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, and FHS, follicle stimulating hormone, are indicated. Those who want to fertility. So coming to the dwarfism, since dwarfism is a disorder of pediatric age group or childhood age group, so I am not discussing much about this. Just I will brief what is the definition of dwarfism, what are the causes, clinical feature, investigation, and treatment of dwarfism. So dwarfism is an endocrine disorder result from hyposecretion of growth hormone during the critical development period in the children. So it is also called short stature or little people. So types of dwarfism is proportionate, disproportionate, and asymmetry. So again, disproportionate is a short-limbed, disproportionate, and short trunk. Short trunk only, trunk will be short. Rest is will be normal. So in short limb only limbs are short, rest is normal. Whereas proportionate, all the body will proportionately it will be dwarf. What are the cause for dwarfism? So reduction in the growth hormone during infancy or early childhood will result in dwarfism, either of any of the following reasons are the causes. Deficiency of growth hormone releasing hormone from the hypothalamus, or deficiency of stromatomedin C, that is stomato, somatostatin agonists, atrophy of adenohypophysis, tumor of chromophobe, that is non-functioning tumor, compression and destroy the normal cells, and panhypopituitarism. So other causes are lesion in the anterior pituitary either due to infection or injury result in hyposecretion of growth hormone. Some genetic causes and hereditary causes also cause a dwarfism. Signs and symptoms of dwarfism is stunted skeletal growth, maximum height is approximately 3 feet, head become slightly larger in relation to the body, mental activities is normal without any deformity. So reproduction system usually not affect because lack of growth hormone. The growth hormone is not affected. That's why reproduction system is not affected. Whereas in panhypopituitarism, puberty is not attained because of lack of growth gonadotropin hormones. So investigation includes history collection, physical examination, that is height and weight measurements very important. To know the any pituitary tumor, you have to do the imaging study, MRI brain and CT brain. Blood test, you measure the growth hormone levels. Usually growth hormone level may be normal or decrease. So coming to the treatment, dwarfism do not increases the stature but may decreases the problem caused by complication. So medical line of treatment, if a growth hormone is decreased, you can give injection synthetic growth hormone. Surgery is only indicated those with disproportionate dwarfism to correct the problem of bone. So coming to the pituitary apoplexy is a life-threatening or medical emergency clinical situation arise from the acute infarction of pituitary gland. So causes of this pituitary apoplexy may be, so there is a spontaneous hemorrhagic infarction within the pituitary tumor, or even in normal gland also there is a ischemic infarction can occur due to hemorrhage into the pituitary gland in the postpartum period, that is Sheehan syndrome, or maybe overdosage of anticoagulant therapy. It is also associated with diabetes mellitus, hypertension, sickle cell anemia. In acute shock also leads to the pituitary apoplexy because of decreased blood supply to the pituitary gland. There is a ischemia, then followed by infarction and necrosis of the pituitary gland. What are the clinical features of this pituitary apoplexy? So usually this pituitary apoplexy affect the anterior pituitary hormones only. There is a hypofunction of anterior pituitary hormone which may be transient or permanent. So degree of hypopituitarism mainly depending upon the extent of uh, pituitary destruction. So clinically, pituitary apoplexy present as a severe headache, sudden change in the sensorium with signs of meningeal irritation, ophthalmoplegia, visual loss, and frustration. So this is mainly because of hemorrhage into the pituitary gland. There is a hypotension and severe hypoglycemia also seen. In severe cases, there is a loss of consciousness, cardiovascular collapse, and death may occur. So investigation of pituitary apoplexy is imaging study, that is MRI of pituitary fossa. So it showed that there is a intratumoral or cellular hemorrhage with the deviation of pituitary stalk and pituitary tissue compression. So treatment of this pituitary apoplexy is, once you suspect that, so you have to assess the patient whether his conscious is good, whether his conscious is lost, or whether visual is present, vision is present or lost. If patient is without visual loss or impairment of conscious, we manage conservatively with high dose of glucocorticoid supplementation along with other supportive measurement. If it is hypotension, you treat, or if it is hypoglycemia, treat that according to that. So surgical decompression is required when there is a deterioration of sensorium. Patient slowly going to loss of consciousness or progressively loss of visual impairment or even sudden vision loss. Will such a patient will subjected for surgical decompression. So another topic is, that is empty cella syndrome. It's a clinical condition almost similar to the pituitary tumor. occurs when a defect in the diaphragma cella result in the subarachnoid space herniation into the cellular space. So pressure on this bony walls of cella causes a subsequent remodeling, cellular enlargement and flattening of pituitary gland. So exact pathogenesis is unclear, not known. So probably there is a raised intracranial pressure in a subject with diaphragmatic defect is predisposed to the empty cella syndrome. So this empty cella syndrome usually detected using normal evaluation in a patient with obesity and headache. When a patient presented with obesity or headache, if you do routine investigation or imaging study, we found out there is a empty cella syndrome. Even 20% of women in autopsy showed there is a empty cella syndrome. So diagnosis is very difficult because radiologically it almost mimic like a pituitary tumor. So treatment is symptomatic for primary empty cella, whereas secondary empty cella you have to treat according to cause or underlying disease process. So this is the sagittal view of MRI showing there is a empty cella. So whatever the arrow mark, white arrow mark is showing the empty cella syndrome. So last topic is Kallmann syndrome. Is a clinical condition in which there is a defective hypothalamic gonadotropin releasing hormone synthesis. Also associated with anosmia or hyposmia due to olfactory bulb agenesis or hypoplasia. So there is a congenital deficiency of GnRH and also olfactory bulb agenesis. This syndrome also associated with other manifestation like color blindness, optic atrophy, nerve deafness, cleft palate, renal abnormality, cryptorchidism, and neurological abnormality such as mirror movements. So Kallmann syndrome present either X-linked or autosomal dominant or autosomal recessive. X-linked gene is CAL gene, autosomal dominant is FGFR1, autosomal recessive gene is GPR54. Once there is a deficiency of GnRH, the progression to the puberty also halts. So patient will not reaches to the puberty. See, in case of males, usually they present as a delayed puberty and pronounced hypogonadal feature, that is micropenis. So probably this because of low testosterone level during the infants. In females, usually they present with a primary amenorrhea and failure of secondary sexual characters or secondary sexual developments. So what are the investigation for Kallmann syndrome is, so already told there is a GnRH deficiency will be there. So if you measure the LH and FHS, they are low, and sex steroid hormones, that is testosterone and estradiol also will be low level. So treatment for male, you have to give long term treatment of SCG, human chorionic gonadotropin or testosterone. Mainly these will be restore the pubertal development and secondary sexual characteristics. For women, you can treat with cyclical estrogen and progesterone. So fertility also restored by administration of gonadotropin and pulsatile GnRH. This pulsatile GnRH can give infusion pump subcutaneously. So these are the questions we have to answer and mailed within 3 days. Thank you.